Hey guys, in this video we'll look at how to find a missing side in a right angle triangle when you're given one of the angles and one of the other sides using SOH CAH TOA. So the first thing you want to do is label the involved sides. So in this question, we know the side opposite the right angle is always the hypotenuse. The side opposite the angle given is always the opposite side. So the involved sides for this question are opposite and hypotenuse. Then the second thing we want to do is decide the equation to use. We've got these three equations here, and the equation that uses opposite and hypotenuse is sine. That's what SOH stands for, that sine theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. So that's your SOH. Now we know which equation we're using. The next thing we want to do is substitute our values into that equation. So sine theta stands for the angle that we're given, so this will be sine 30, equals opposite, so the opposite is labeled x, that's the unknown side we want to find, and hypotenuse is 7. Alright, and now the last thing we want to do is solve it. So to get x by itself, we can multiply by 7. So we know that 7 times sine 30 will give us x. And now at this point we can use our calculator. So first, make sure that your calculator is in degrees. So you want to see that D written up there. If you don't have that, you can press Shift, Setup, and press 3 to change it into degrees. Right, so now I'm just going to type in this, which is 7 times sine of 30. And that gives us 3.5. So x is going to be 3.5. Now it is telling us to round it up to 2 decimal places, or we can just add another 0. Alright, let's look at another example. Find x and round answer to 2 decimal places. So again, the first thing we want to do is label the involved sides. So the involved sides is always in relation to the given angle. So now we're given 50 degrees, which is up here. Alright, so first, the side opposite the 90 degrees is always the hypotenuse, and it's the longest side of the right angle triangle. The side next to the angle given is always the adjacent side. So this question involves the adjacent and the hypotenuse side. So let's do step 2, which is decide the equation to use. So we've got adjacent and hypotenuse here in cos. So we will be using cos. We'll be using CAH, which stands for cos theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. Now let's sub in our values. So we've got cos. Remember, theta stands for the angle that we're given, so that's going to be 50, equals adjacent, which is x, our missing side, over hypotenuse, which is 40. Now again, to get x by itself, we need to multiply by 40 on both sides. So we're going to have x equals 40 times cos of 50. And at this point, we can enter that into our calculator. So we've got 40 times cos of 50. So again, just make sure you're in degrees. And let's do that. So x is 27.711. So the third decimal place is a 1, which is less than 5. So we're going to round it down to 2 decimal places to be just 25.71. So this is saying this length x is 25.71 units long. All right, let's look at one more example. So again, let's label our involved sides. So this is our angle given, and the side opposite that is this. So this is the opposite side, and the side next to it is the adjacent side. So let's look at which equation to use. So we've got opposite over adjacent here for tan theta. And again, that's what the TOA stands for, that tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. And now let's sub in our values. So tan of 65, remember theta stands for the angle given, equals opposite, which is 42, over adjacent. which is x. So you might have noticed that in this question, the unknown side is in the denominator. So we're going to do 2 steps to get x by itself. So first, let's multiply both sides by x, and that gives us x times tan 65 equals 42. And now let's divide by tan 65 on both sides to get x by itself. So we're going to have x equals 42 divided by tan 65. And what you would have noticed is after we do these 2 steps, the x and the tan 65 have basically swapped places. So anytime you have an unknown in the denominator, you can swap it with the answer on the other side. Right, so let's put that in the calculator now. So we are going to do 42 divided by tan 65. And that's 19.584. Again, the third decimal place value is less than 5. So when rounding to 2 decimal places, we are going to round down and leave it as 19.58. So this is saying that this length here is 19.58 units long. I hope you found that useful. Please subscribe to my channel to get more videos that will help you achieve good grades in your studies.